If you are jobless today, the president has failed you, and you should vote against him, and you should vote for a change in the presidency.
Well, what I was saying was the old recovery mantra. To do the same thing over and over and over and expect different change is called insanity. We spent $2 billion on an election that nothing changed.
Yeah.
Same Congress, same Senate, same president. So should we expect change? I'm not that sure.
So therefore, the re-election of President Obama was a good thing or a bad thing, you think?
Well, I don't ever get into politics. As you know, Charlie, I've always said I'm not right-wing or left-wing. I'm for the whole bird.
But evidently, according to what we've just been talking about,
Yeah.
God wanted President Obama, if he had a purpose for him, to be reelected. Do I follow that? I mean, what's the disconnect between those two thoughts?
You know what?
If God has a purpose for you,
we don't know God's purpose in a lot of events. I mean, I was at the Notre Dame USC game on Saturday night. People were praying for both sides to win. I don't think God had an opinion in that.
Okay, so God didn't care who won.
God didn't have an opinion in that.
But God does have an opinion in terms of the purpose of your life.
Well, here's what God's more interested in. God's more interested in your character than your career. Because you're not taking your career to heaven. You are taking your character. And so really, what you do is not nearly as important as who you become. And I would say God is extremely interested in who Barack Obama is becoming, or who Mitt Romney is becoming, or who you or I or Nora are becoming, because that's the character issue that's going to outlast our career.
I've listened to people on television talk about a worry that we're becoming more secular.
Yeah.
On the other hand, you're expanding.
Yeah.
Are you worried about where we are as a society and our relationship to religion?
Well, you know, one of the big reports that's been reported over and over and over, 9 months ago, Newsweek had covered the decline and fall of Christian America. In December, Newsweek declines and falls. Christianity is going to go on for another 2,000 years. So these predictions of the church's demise are highly exaggerated. Kingdoms come and go. I mean, where's the Syrian Empire? Where's the Nazi regime? Those things come and go. One of the problems is misinterpreting of data. There was a result that came out that said the number of Protestants in America, I think it was a Pew study, dropped precipitously. Well, of course it is. Nobody calls themselves a Protestant anymore. No Christian, I don't know a single person calls himself a Protestant. I'm an evangelical, I'm a Catholic. I'm an evangelical. Yeah. There are Pentecostals, there's charismatics, but people don't use that term. It'd be saying like the number of pilgrims have dropped precipitously in America. Well, nobody calls themselves a pilgrim anymore. So you can make a question say the wrong thing.
But is church attendance down?
Church attendance has stayed level since the 1950s. It's neither higher nor lower. This week, more people will go to church on one weekend than attend all professional sporting events in 1 year. Let's put that in perspective. More people will go to a synagogue, a cathedral, a temple, or a church on one weekend than go to all professional sports in an entire year.
Why do you think faith is so important to so many people's lives, not just in the United States, but obviously around the world, and yet religion also sometimes becomes the heart of so many problems around the world and
wars.
Yes, absolutely. Well, there are a lot of things that have been done in the name of God that God would disavow, and I feel no responsibility to defend those things. What we need not is religion, but a relationship to God. Purpose-driven life is about that. It's not about a religion. It's about how do I have a relationship. One day Jesus was walking down the street and somebody asked him, what's the most important thing in the Bible? He says, okay, I'm going to summarize the whole Bible in 2 sentences. This is it, Cliff Notes. Here's on the whole Bible. Love God with all your heart. Love your neighbors yourself. Okay, that's the vertical.
You're in a good place.
The vertical and the horizontal. And purpose-driven life talks about how do I do both of those? How do I learn to love God with all my heart? And how do I learn to love my neighbor as myself?
Speaking of love thy neighbor as thyself, want to talk about gay marriage, same-sex marriage, civil unions. Someone tweeted when you were coming on, said, ask him about his opposition to same-sex marriage. Why do you oppose same-sex marriage?
Well, first let me ask you, do you consider yourself to be a tolerant person?
I do. Yeah.
So you would be respectful of people who would disagree with you no matter what.
Agreed.
Because that's a very, very personal question. And people want to make an incendiary issue over it. I have biblical views of what I think marriage is about. I am in favor of not redefining marriage. I'm not. It's not illegal. to have a gay relationship in America. And so it's not a big issue to me.
Let me ask you, it's interesting. There's a pollster named Bill McIntyre, a Republican pollster. He was John McCain's pollster. He's head of a big firm. His partner was Mitt Romney's pollster. And he has talked about there has not been one issue where there's been so much change so quickly. It was on the issue of same-sex marriage. Now we saw about a majority of Americans support same-sex marriage. How do you mix those two things, which is a personal opposition that might be founded in religious faith, based on what is public opinion that is shifting so dramatically on that issue? How do you merge those two things?
Well, as a pastor, I believe in both the good news, that I believe Jesus is who he said he was, the Son of God, and I also believe in the common good. We're in a democracy where nobody wins all the time. Okay, for instance, I happen to believe life begins at conception. But that's not the law, okay?
And if other people don't believe that, you're tolerant of their views.
Well, and
right?
the point is, nobody's leaving the country. We have a wide spectrum in America, and we have to work for the common good. And that means sometimes what I mean being co-belligerent. For instance, I don't agree with everything that the National Organization of Women supports. But when they are opposing abortion, not abortion, but pornography that objectifies one body, I'm a co-belligerent with them. So I don't happen to agree with everything that my gay friends believe. But when they want to end AIDS, I'm a co-belligerent with them. In fact, Kay and I have given millions of dollars to fight AIDS around the world, and we work with both gays, straights. I can work with an atheist, I can work with a Mormon, I can work with a Muslim, I can work with a Baptist, Buddhist, Jew. And that's one of the issues we have to work on is the work on what can we work on
The
together.
important thing, I think, is to underline what you said earlier to Nora in terms of same-sex marriage. You have to be tolerant of other people's views.
Well,
You know, and so if they differ with you with respect to Christianity or with respect to some of the things you say, you are tolerant and accepting that they came to their beliefs in a genuine way and have to be respected for that.
The problem is that tolerant has changed its meaning. Tolerant used to mean I may disagree with you completely, but I'm going to treat you with respect. That's what tolerant means.
Right.
Today, some people tolerant means you must approve of everything I do. That's not tolerance, that's approval. Right. There's a difference between acceptance and approval. Jesus accepted everybody, no matter who they were. He doesn't approve of everything I do, or you do, or anybody else does either. So you can be accepting without being approving. That's an important point.
Let me change this to a different note, because in reading about you and having known lots of people who you consider to be good friends of yours, you also went through a much publicized battle against weight.
Yeah, I sure did.
How did you win that?
That's hilarious. Well, I've lost 50 pounds. I've got about 40 more to go.
Yeah.
It's a really funny story. I was baptizing one day, and at Saddleback, we do it the old-fashioned way. We actually put people in water. And on this one day, I was baptizing 876 people.
Wow.
Along about number 500, I had not a very spiritual thought.
Yeah.
I thought, we're all overweight.
Yeah.
And so the next Sunday, I got up, I said, folks, I can't ask you to get in shape unless I do. And I said, I've only gained 2 or 3 pounds a year, but I've been your pastor 32 years.
Yeah.
I need to lose 90 pounds. I brought in 3 doctors. We started a thing called the Daniel Plan, and in the last year, our church has lost 267,000 pounds.
Very supported numbers.
Yeah. In fact, several national organizations, we want to study you, your test group.
You know what? Kudos to you and your parishioners for doing that and being a leader in that regard. And thank you, Rick Warren, for being here. And congratulations on the 10th anniversary and edition of The Purpose-Driven Life. It is available now. And R.A. Dickey, do you know R.A. Dickey?
Absolutely.
We were just all there. He loves books.
Absolutely.
And